Ciao e benvenuti al Tavolo Italiano. Hello and welcome to the Italian table. Today we're talking about making singular nouns plural using definite articles in Italian and demonstratives in Italian. As always, it's important to remember that there are always exceptions to every rule. Definite articles in Italian definitely have their share of these exceptions, and we will deal with these as we come across them in our studies. Now, this video assumes that you're already familiar with identifying the gender of a noun, a singular noun in Italian, and how to use indefinite articles. If you are not familiar with that, you may want to go back and review those videos prior to doing this one. Now let's take a look at our lesson. First of all, making singular nouns into plural nouns. Nouns ending in O, you change the O to an I, or E in Italiano. Here's an example. Bambino becomes bambini. Bambino, bambini. Now, when the O is preceded by an I, you simply drop the O. You don't have to add a second I. Here's an example of that. Negozio becomes negozi. Negozi. For nouns ending in A or A in Italian, you change the A to E, or in Italian, A to A. Here's an example. Bambina becomes bambine. Now, with the feminine noun that ends in an A, if that A is preceded by a C or a G, then you must add the H before the E in order to maintain the hard C or G sound. Here's an example. Amica becomes amiche. Let's talk about this just for a brief moment. It really is not as complicated as it sounds. If you're familiar with our teaching on pronunciation, or most teachings on Italian pronunciation, you're familiar with the rule that a C or a G followed by an I or an E becomes soft. Hence, if we had not added the H on amiche, you would have to pronounce it amiche. Now, the rule simply states that if a noun has a C or a G before the A on the end on a feminine noun, that C or G is obviously hard, as in amica, because it's followed by an A. You need to maintain that hard sound when you take it into the plural. In order to do that, simply add the H after the C or G to maintain that hard sound. Now, this only applies to the feminine nouns, not to the masculine nouns. In this case, amico, for instance, would be amici, but amica has to maintain that sound, so it becomes amiche. Okay, with the singular noun ending in E, to make that plural, you change it to an I, or in Italian, that would be changing the A to E. Here is an example. Dottore becomes dottori. Dottore, dottori. Now, nouns ending with an accented vowel or a consonant are invariable and do not change. A couple of quick examples are lo sport, the sport, becomes gli sport, and la città becomes le città. Okay, it's time for you to try a few yourself. I'll read the Italian noun in a singular, and I'll give you a few seconds. See if you can determine how you make that Italian noun plural. Ragazzo. Ragazzi. Bambina. Bambine. Computer. Computer. Caffè. Caffè. Cameriere. camerieri, strada, strade, bicchiere, bicchieri, bambino, bambini. How'd you do? If you did really well, then I'd move on. If you struggled with it a little bit and didn't get so many of them right, you might want to go back and review that section of the video until such a time that you feel comfortable with making singular nouns into plural. Now let's move on to definite articles. Learning a little bit about Italian definite articles. By no means an all-encompassing lesson on definite articles in Italian. It is a good basis, however, from which to start. In their book Complete Italian Grammar, Marcello Danesi says the following about definite articles. They are function words which mark nouns as specific, that is, referring to something in particular. A function word is a form that has grammatical meaning or value. In layman's terms, a definite article in English is the, and makes a noun a specific noun, or nouns, for example. A boy, general term, versus the boy, a very specific boy. In Italian, there are 7 ways to write or say the. The following screen has a list of those 7 ways with the rules dictating when each is used. For instance, L apostrophe is used before all masculine singular nouns starting with a vowel. So aereo, which means plane, becomes l'aereo, the plane. Now, technically, this is actually used before all nouns starting with the vowel, all singular nouns starting with the vowel, both masculine or feminine, but we've just broken it up into gender here, so you're going to see this one again. So L apostrophe before any masculine singular noun starting with a vowel, l'aereo. Now, before masculine singular nouns starting with a Z or an S plus a consonant, like sport or studente, you use the word lo. Lo. Our example is lo studente. Lo studente. And then for all other masculine singular nouns, you use il. Il. As in il bambino. For the masculine plural nouns, starting with a vowel, or a Z, or an S plus a consonant, you use li, as in gli uomini. And then for all other masculine plural nouns, you use I, as in I ragazzi. I ragazzi. Now, the feminine nouns are much easier to deal with when it comes to definite articles. For feminine nouns starting with a vowel, as I mentioned above, use L apostrophe. So, autostrada would be l'autostrada. All other feminine singular nouns get la, as in la donna, or la bambina, or la casa. And finally, all feminine plural nouns get le, as in le bambine, or le donne. Now let's practice a little bit with definite articles. I'll read the Italian noun, and then you simply read it again or say it again with the Italian definite article. I'll give you a few seconds to come up with each answer, as we did with the singular versus plural. Let's see how you do. Ragazzo. Il ragazzo. Bambine. Le bambine. Zaino. Lo zaino. Computer. il computer, autostrada, l'autostrada, motorini, i motorini, caffè, il caffè, aeroporto, l'aeroporto, camerieri, i camerieri, strada, la strada, bicchiere, il bicchiere, bambini, i bambini, studenti, i studenti. Very good. How'd you do? If you struggled a lot with these, just like with singular versus plural, you may want to review it a few times until you can become comfortable with it. And then once you feel like you have this part down pat, or you're at least more comfortable with it, feel free to move on. Which we're going to do moving into demonstratives, learning a little bit about this, that, these, and those in Italian. We're going to start with this and these. In Italian, there's 3 ways to write or say this, and 2 ways to write or say these. The following is a list of the 5 ways, with the rules dictating which is used. Now, before I get into this, there's a simple way to remember the appropriate word for this and these in Italian. I think that you'll find this helpful. And that is simply remember the general endings for the masculine and feminine, singular, and plural nouns. By general, I mean those ending with O and A. A singular Italian noun ending in O is typically, that's right, masculine. One ending in A is typically singular and feminine. And then the O's, as we already talked a little bit about in this video, go to I. And the A's go to E, as in bambino, bambini, bambina, bambine. Well, same is true here. And then remember the rule about nouns starting with a vowel. So what we have is quest, Q-U-E-S-T, apostrophe, and this is used with all singular nouns starting with a vowel. Doesn't matter if it's masculine, feminine, use it before all of them. So quest would go with albero, tree, quest'albero. Then voila for the masculine singular nouns, it's questo. There's that O, just like in bambino. Questo, used with all masculine singular nouns, as in questo ragazzo. So if questo is for the masculine singular nouns, what do you think is used with the masculine or the feminine singular nouns? You guessed it, questa. Questa is used with feminine singular nouns, as in questa motocicletta, this motorcycle. Queste is then used as these, and it's used with all feminine plural nouns. And the example I have is questi piatti, which is actually plural masculine. I apologize. Queste donne would have been a better example. There's the feminine plural example. So questi is then used with all masculine plural nouns, but the example is the plural feminine, queste forchette. Okay, let's try a little bit of practice here. I'm going to read the Italian noun with a definite article, and you try to apply the appropriate word for this or these to that noun, and let's see how you do. So the first one is il ragazzo. Questo ragazzo. Le bambine, queste bambine, lo zaino, questo zaino, il computer, questo computer, l'autostrada, questa autostrada, i motorini, questi motorini, il caffè, questo caffè, l'aeroporto, quest'aeroporto, i camerieri, questi camerieri, la strada, questa strada, il bicchiere, questo bicchiere, i bambini, questi bambini, gli studenti, questi studenti. Facile, no? Easy, right? It really does follow a pretty simple pattern. If you didn't get it down, I really recommend you definitely go through this section again until you do get it. I think that you'll pick up on it pretty easy. Remember, if the noun begins with a vowel, you simply use quest, apostrophe. All the others, think about if the noun is singular masculine, it's an O, singular feminine, it's A, and the plurals being E or I. Questo, questa, questi, queste. Okay, let's move on to the next demonstrative. In Italian, there are 4 ways to write or say that, and 3 ways to write or say those. Following a list of those 7 ways, with the rules dictating when each is used. Now this one runs a little bit different. If we look at the first one, quel, it's almost as if the QUE is actually the root here, and the letters that follow actually more parallel the definite articles, whereas the other one just used O, A, E, A, the same way that those general nouns did. This one is going to go by whichever definite article you used is going to parallel that. And by that, what I mean is it'll start off with a QUE. It usually adds an L. And then the next one is almost a duplicate, or is a duplicate, of what the definite article is. Now, if you remember, aereo, plane, airplane. To say the plane, we said l'aereo. We added L apostrophe. Well, here you'll notice it's QUEL and then L apostrophe. So as I said, the root being QUE, add the L, then add the definite article, L apostrophe, and there you go. So aereo, airplane, becomes quell'aereo, that airplane. Quello is what you would use for the nouns that you would use lo for, the masculine singular noun starting with a Z or an S plus a consonant. So once again, it's QUE plus the L plus the definite article, LO. So studente, student, with the definite article is lo studente. With this demonstrative, or the word for that, is quello studente. Are you seeing the parallel? For all other singular masculine nouns, like bambino, which would in the definite article realm use il, uses quel. Quel. Now, for the masculine plural nouns, it's a little bit different. It's more of the root plus the definite article. They don't add that extra L. So in this case, masculine plural noun starting with a Z or an S plus a consonant, it's quegli uomini. Now remember, with the definite articles, it was gli uomini. Now it's quegli uomini. And for all other plural masculine nouns that would use e, simply use quei. So quei ragazzi. So if you look closely, you can see basically all the definite articles right in here. All feminine singular nouns starting with a vowel also get quel apostrophe, quell'autostrada, as does the definite article. All other feminine singular nouns are simply quella, quella donna, just like QUE plus L plus the definite article. So if that's the case, what would you think all plural feminine nouns would get? That's right, quelle, quelle bambine, those girls. Okay, let's try a little practice with these demonstratives, the words for that and those. I will read the noun in Italian as before with the definite article. I'll give you a few seconds and see if you can determine what form of that or those to use with these nouns. So here we go. Il ragazzo. Quel ragazzo. Le bambine. Quelle bambine. Lo zaino. Quello zaino, scusi, that should be quello zaino. Il computer. Quel computer. L'autostrada. Quell'autostrada. I motorini. Quei motorini. Il caffè. Quel caffè. L'aeroporto. Quell'aeroporto. I camerieri. Quei camerieri. La strada. Quella strada. Il bicchiere. Quel bicchiere. I bambini. Quei bambini. Gli studenti. Quegli studenti. How'd you do? Pretty good. If you struggled with it, this one seems to give some people more of a problem than others. Feel free to obviously review this video as many times as possible, this portion of it, until you feel like you're becoming a little more comfortable with them. Okay, finally, the way we've been using demonstratives so far are as demonstrative adjectives. Because they point to an object or a person mentioned in a sentence, thus modifying it by specifying that object or person. So, for example, the boy, which is already modified from a boy, going from indefinite to definite, now becomes further modified by this demonstrative adjective because it's just the boy to that boy or this boy. These can also be used as demonstrative pronouns. This happens when they take the place of the demonstrative phrase. The demonstrative phrase is that boy. If you just say that, all of a sudden you have a demonstrative pronoun because it now has an antecedent. Okay, and it's created by the use of the adjective. Here's the example. The demonstrative adjective here is those. The demonstrative phrase is those plates. Therefore, the demonstrative pronoun is those. It's the same as the adjective, it's just how it's used that's different. Thus it starts with, what plates are you talking about? plates being the noun in question. I'm talking about those plates, those being a demonstrative adjective because of the way it's used there. I am talking about those being a demonstrative pronoun. This is also basically how it works in Italian. When used as a pronoun, the demonstrative adjective still retains the gender and number properties that they would have had as an adjective. As an example, che cosa hai bisogno? What do you need? Ho bisogno di questi bicchieri. I need these glasses. Hai bisogno di quei. You need these. Or you need those, excuse me. Sì, ho bisogno di questi. Now you'll notice in the last two phrases, hai bisogno di quei, the word for those, is the word that you would use for plural masculine nouns. And for the final phrase, sì, ho bisogno di questi, the word for these is the one for the plural masculine. That all has to do because they all point to bicchieri, which is a plural masculine noun. Well, grazie mille for stopping by Il Tavolo Italiano. I hope you got something out of this. This may be a lesson you might need to review a few times. Remember, there's more about this topic, quite a bit more, at iltavoloitaliano.com, and more about all various aspects of Italian grammar. Remember, all information about the Italian language is always free at iltavoloitaliano.com. I hope you visit us, see what there is there. I think you'll be pleased that you stopped by. Buona giornata, parlo italiano e ciao.